This is Pixie doing another video. La-di-da. Anyway, a few things. I've got my little kind of stone I say a pendant. Yeah, pendant's probably the best thing. I say amulet, but amulet's a bit different. Amulet. It's got some energy in it. Well, it's got some. It feels good anyway. I wore it last night actually. I wore it. Just slept with this thing on. I've got the beads and this. It's Nun, I think. It's basically it's the void. I have to look at the Egyptian gods. There's Ptah. So it's a kind of unification between the two gods, probably. Nunta. Something. Yeah. So anyway, I was going to do a video. I was going to talk about a few things, and so you got the flu. This flu, the Chinese flu, that's sweeping over. They probably need to start quarantine areas in the UK. People are carriers, so that's going to be a problem. You know, you could be immune to the actual virus and quite easily carry it around with you. I guess really to figure out if you've got immunity, do you often get flu? Do you come in contact with people that do get flu? Now if they get flu, they could have actually got it from you and not even realise. And you might have a strain of it that hangs around and lingers around your body anyway. My advice would possibly, if you can make your own colloidal silver, do. You can put it in a spray bottle, you can always spray it in your throat. You still might want to use alcohol gel for your hands and so on. But with colloidal silver you can also spray it in food and other things that maybe somebody else has come in contact with. Or microwave everything. So you can put, like a sandwich, made a sandwich, put it in a microwave for 30 seconds. You know, because cheese, just sort of melt it. But it's enough to cause, to damage a virus if it's there. And them kind of things. And yeah, so colloidal silver can help you. It at least makes it controllable as well, and it's the inflammatory effect of the virus and producing like fluid on your lungs and the stress in the heart, which probably kills people off. I think it may have been bioengineered at some level, and it could even be to sabotage China because they're expanding. Like Huawei is expanding as well, and there's concerns about security that don't exist really. The same information could be acquired for other means like Facebook and so on. You know, because they want people, where do people live, their numbers, and all these sorts of things. The information they put on there. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, they're all trading information. You know, when your phone becomes a military tool, then it's going to be an issue. Like if there's a war in this country, you know, people will be looking for people that are extremists, they will be rooting out people, they'll be doing other things. You could probably do masking as well, so the information, social media information of another person could be overlaid on what's going on with somebody else. And so they'd mask their kind of IT fingerprint in essence. And cyber masking, I mean, it's a bit like I could set up several different profiles, and so if someone's searching for a profile, I could have a profile and I could set it up on a computer and only use it in a certain area, and then the information on that would be consistent as if it was a different person living there. So, you know, I could say I'm Bob Monkhouse, and you might only use this laptop at a certain location. And it'd be difficult for them to trace it, and then basically you could write all sorts of radical things on there, and you can say, well, no, I don't know this person, because there may be a way they could associate your connection with you, but to find out the full relationship might be more difficult. But it's not impossible. I mean, there's different methods, like for instance, people have charge cards, or they could have funds overseas somewhere else. You know, if I put it into a Chinese bank and I set myself up as a different person, operating it's this cross-platform thing that would start to cause confusion when people are trying to trace people's like activity and fingerprint, so on. So it's more difficult. But however, does it matter? Most people don't actually do a lot, and there aren't these massive radical terrorists. Most of it is just corporations. So there's a new kind of government of corporations fighting each other, and what they're doing with the public is they're making out these stories of like North Korea hacked Panasonic's stuff, therefore they need to be watched. They're quite dangerous. Like, what would they gain from Panasonic over people if they were hacking things really for that? It doesn't make any sense. I think what's happening is it might have been bounced off a few different servers, and North Korea doesn't have any technology like that. It's probably in South Korea, and it could be to acquire technologies to give to China, because what China were doing, they did a rapid expansion, but they don't adhere to the UK law, the Crown law, and so things like patents and stuff like that, they were sort of disregarding and saying, no, that's actually not a breach. It might look the same, but it's not a breach in Chinese law, because that thing doesn't exist in our law, even though if you went to a different culture and acquired it. But it's no different than if say a plant has a medicinal basis, they ban it as illegal and say it's dangerous and all these other things, and then a pharmaceutical company registers certain patents to extract stuff from it. So they destroyed their rivals, or they destroy people that will be using the product directly from nature. So you've got that with like cannabis and things like that, restrictions and stuff that doesn't make any sense. But because it's in a market like painkillers, and they're like 2 a penny anyway, it doesn't really matter. But if you get a plant that's a wonder drug, like it reverses cancer, it would absolutely be stopped. They'd say, oh no, it's very dangerous, and there'd be all this mad stuff made up about it that doesn't really exist. It's just the way of the world, because of corporations, industry comes first, and people come second, or people have been turned into a valued commodity, and so every aspect of humanity has been turned into some financial structure. What else would we like to talk about? Let's see. The royal family. I mean, should we vote in our royal? Who wants to lead the crown? And should it be a council of the royal family? There's all these things in there. I mean, should the Queen, should it be, I know she might be a lovely public figure at one element, the other she's just holding on to power and maintaining status, and also the titles and kind of the hat she holds, because, I mean, she's maybe doing a wonderful job, but I think she's being propped up by other people that are supporting her. She doesn't make all the decisions on her own, and the problem is that when she passes away, if it suddenly happens, who's going to take over? These royals are not up to speed with it. What's happening is that the people behind her rule her. That's going to be the issue. They're going to say that, like they already say, so we get advice from my solicitor. They might choose not to go with that advice. That's up to them. But then they've got to realise that some of these people that they're getting advice from are connected to other people, like the media, banks, money, other things, and then they can say, well, he's actually not doing what he's told. You better pull in the lead. And so it's like a choker. So then they throw him into the media circus, and damage occurs to their reputation, etc. But then again, some of them just do what they like, and they're spoiled. They don't necessarily earn their roles through nobility. I think they should do. I think they should say, right, well, your service to the country, you've proven without a doubt, like charity, religion, because they represent different things. Military service. I mean, you wouldn't want someone who hasn't had military service. As the Queen has military service, but she's the head of the army. It's a bit messed up. So they need to say to themselves, have they gained rank to be in that position, and are they qualified to be at that level? Because if they get given medals quite, they just basically stick a load of medals on them. They don't actually have to try that hard to get them. While other people, they might have to work their nuts off, basically, to achieve certain levels. I just think that these titles, and they're kind of their own government, the Crown governs itself, an internal government, they should basically go for a system of voting or something they should go on with the public, like who do you want as the next king or queen? It could be questionable. It could be what the public interests are. and it also means they've got to conform with what's going on with society a lot more, because you can have this kind of insular society or royal society doesn't fit into the mainstream. And I mean, Charles, I think, would do a brilliant job when it comes to the religious side of things, but would you want him necessarily as the king? You know, or with Harry and Meghan, would they step into a different role and come back in? I think they will do. I think what they're doing is they're taking a break from royal duties to focus on development of the family. They don't want their kids damaged, so they want to raise them to a certain age, and then they can get more involved, and then slide it into the limelight that way. Because the problem is the same magnifying glass of the media and public and so on is looking at all of them, and they just want a bit of space and a bit of separation from all that, which is fine. It's just fine. Or they can focus on building relations, have a kind of royal connection, and build up relations with Canada. There's a different application. So they could share the power, and it makes them much more functional as a family, because they just do the public functions, charity. You know, they get to keep so much of the charity. They run businesses as well, and other things. How is this power divided? And if they're incapable of managing that power, someone will step in behind the scenes, and eventually they lose control of it. It's like having a board of directors. I mean, whoever holds the most shares rules the roost, I guess. But if they were voted in based on the capacity, you know, you wouldn't want Prince Andrew. Somehow he was put up for being the king somehow, or something like that. You'd have to look at his impact. He's obviously been sort of overspoilt, and he's not necessarily a good person. He cares about himself, and that's it. But you know, we're all different. I'm not entirely 100% good. I'd hate to think that, because I have dark thoughts and things. I don't necessarily act on them, but they're there. So there's some things you say, well, I shouldn't deal with that. You know, like you should take a distance from certain things and reconsider it. But this comes into the next thing. Pick your friends wisely. They will either raise you up, or they will pull you down. And we've got that with partners coming out of the EU. The EU was pulling us down. We were paying a lot of money, but we weren't necessarily getting a lot for what was going on, and whatever's going on with them, I think there's like a branch of the Vatican. So we've broken out of the grips of the Vatican, quite possibly, or they're part of some groups to do the Nazis. Probably got the Vril in there and all sorts of mixtures behind the scene that had a control over us. And then you've got in America, it's very much a corporation. Freemasonry is quite strong in there. There's lots of symbols and the way the place was laid out, and it also incorporates older knowledge as well. And we've got the Crown and their extended branches, but are they doing as much as they could for like the Commonwealth connections and forging new links? And follow the money. This is what I'm going to say to Boris, follow the money. If China are booming, get in there. Build relationships with economies that are expanding. They're the partners you want, because they create the trade deal. As much as I love America, they've got like $1 trillion in debt, and their interests are on their own, and they'll always be setting us up to take a brunt of whatever they do. So they're also warfare, the arm of warfare in the Illuminati. So when they go off and blow up something in the Middle East, people will behind me. I'm going to disable parking bay because they've some works going on my property, and yeah, basically we get the brunt of whatever comes of it. All these terrorists, or don't know, funded people, and it becomes a part of the PR for warfare. And then we also get caught up in the I guess there would be Luciferian Judaists of some sort, who were propagating all these things like, you know, we're the only ones that had a Holocaust, we're always the victims. And then you've got this stuff that's going on with Israel is just mad, and Gaza. I mean, they should be unifying together as becoming one nation, rather than trying to divide and become the master race. So anyway, this is a big sign of this video, and speak to you soon. Bye.